So recruits, for this week's challenge, we're going to show you how to make chicken adobo, Filipino fried rice, and charred Japanese eggplant.
We're gonna start off by breaking down a whole chicken. I place it breast up. I take the little leg first and I kind of wiggle it around. All right, and I'm really trying to get a pocket here where it's mostly just skin. Now we have our boning knife. Always use the tip of the knife. And we're gonna start off and we're just gonna make a little slice in the skin in which to open it up and sort of expose down to the joint. Now then we're gonna take our fingers underneath and kind of pop the hip socket right out. And we hear that little bone crushing. Then we take the tip of our knife and we just keep small little cuts until we get down to the bone. When you're cutting meat, keep your knife along the bone. That's the roadmap of where you want to take the chicken off the bone. All right, there we go. Now here, when we get to the wing, we're going to cut it off sort of in the elbow. Little small cut, and then we're gonna pop it open. All right, pop that joint right open and look at what I can do. I'm barely adding any pressure there, and that little wing comes right off. All right, so now we're gonna take the breast. There's a breastbone right in the middle. And so we pull the skin taut and we're going to cut long, smooth strokes on one side of the breastbone, all the way down to the carcass. The ribs are right around there. We're gonna go right around. We get down to here. There's a little joint. We wanna keep this little upper arm piece on the breast. So we're gonna cut down till we expose the joint. Okay, it's right here. I've popped it out, and I can just very gently cut right through there, all right? And then the breast comes off, okay? So then we look at the leg and the thigh. You see this sort of white line right here? That's what we call a natural seam. It's where two muscle packs come together. So that seam right there is where it says, cut me here, okay? So just very gentle strokes till we expose the joint, and then we're gonna cut the leg and the thigh apart. So then we have the thigh and the leg, and we're gonna look at the thigh. If we have any sort of extra sort of fat hawkers and stuff on the side, we're gonna take those off. Any excess skin, whatever, any skin flaps you can trim off. All right, so now before I start anything else, I'm gonna go wash my hands. So use, a non-chicken part of your arm or hand or whatever. We're really gonna wash well with soap. Okay, so our peppercorns, we're gonna toast these to really start to bring out the flavor because this dish is all about the pepper. All right, so we're gonna grind it. Whew. And already it's gonna make me sneeze. So I'm just wiping out any residual pepper that's in my pan. I am going to use canola oil for this one. You want it nice and hot. Then I'm gonna really pat dry my chicken. Now we're gonna give this a nice sprinkle of salt. And then we place it in our pan skin side down, okay? There we go. And then we season the other side of our chicken. And I can tell when my chicken is, like it's starting to sear nicely. I can shake my pan and the skin will unstick itself when it's ready. So if you're trying to move your pieces of chicken around and it's stuck to the pan, don't force it, all right? But you really gotta make sure you pat that chicken dry. Now I'm gonna get the seasoning part of my chicken going. I'm going to slice one onion. So we cut it in half right through the hairy end. I have a corner in which to peel this guy. And you want the slices fairly thin. Now I'm just gonna cut the hairy end off, and look what I have, a sliced onion.
That is like gorgeous art.
We're keeping an eye on our chicken, but we're also doing other mise en place as well. Ooh, are we starting to get nice chicken brown? Yeah, good stuff happening, all right? We're gonna do 8 garlic cloves. It's gonna give them all a whack so the skin comes right off. You're breaking all the cells of the garlic, and so then when they hit that hot oil, they'll give off their goodness right away. So we're just gonna give this a little bit of a chop, all right? I have bay leaves, and then I have white vinegar, all right? And soy sauce. And then you can put those guys right together. And then the last thing, palm sugar. All right, there we go. Now, I'm looking at my chicken. Look, nice and browned all over the place. Right, so there we go. We're gonna set that aside for just a second. All right, so we're gonna ditch that oil. We're gonna start off with a little bit of new oil, and we're gonna get our onions in there. All right, we wanna sweat the onions. So while my onions are sweating, I'm going to cut some scallions for garnish, like this, on a very severe diagonal, all right? Nice and thin. So my onions are starting to smell really nice. So now I'm gonna add my garlic in, and we wanna cook it till we cook that raw garlic flavor out. I'm going to add in the vinegar and soy sauce. I'm gonna add in the palm sugar. I'm gonna add in my bay leaves and my pepper. And then I'm also gonna add in water. All right, so we stir this around. I'm gonna have this bring to a boil. All right, and when we do that, we're gonna add our chicken back to our pan, and we wanna make sure that the skin side of the thighs is up. So once it comes to a boil, we're gonna reduce it to a simmer. Sauna, all right?
So while your chicken is simmering, we're gonna start with the eggplant side. First, white vinegar. To the half a cup of white vinegar, you're gonna add sugar. All I wanna do is dissolve that sugar, and we're gonna add 1 bay leaf to the same mix. While that is going, we're looking to char this beautiful Japanese eggplant. We're gonna snip the tips. We're gonna cut it in half so it's even, right down the middle. The interior of the eggplant, I'm gonna have you score it the entire way down. So that way I can make sure that it soaks in all of that delicious pickle. So on our board, and you're gonna oil the eggplant liberally. Salt, a little bit of pepper. Because I'm gonna char it, I don't want that pepper to burn, so I don't want too much of the pepper on it. I just want pepper as a back note. So, our tomato, so we're gonna cut it in half. I'm gonna take the core right out, and we're gonna dice our tomato. So, the same, half an onion. So I have 2 slices in this onion because I want the pieces to be smaller. All right, so now we're gonna start the garlic for our fried rice. So our garlic is diced. Now, the eggplant. So now we have that beautiful, beautiful charred essence coming off of this eggplant. Here's a note. If you feel a couple pieces of the eggplant, you're like, oh, it's not as soft as, the middle of it, don't cook it longer, because this will continue to steam. So, I'm gonna take all these other animals and put everyone in the barnyard, right? So I'm gonna put my onion, my tomato, and then the eggplant. You are gonna cut the eggplant about 1.5 inch pieces, right on the bias, just like that. And then your eggplant as well, everybody into the party. Your quickle with the bay leaf, everyone in the pool. You're gonna mix. Beautiful time.
My chicken. My chicken's been cooking for about 15 minutes. I'm just gonna take my chicken out of the pan and cook the sauce down a little bit.
So, fried rice. So we have annatto seed. Unlike toasting your seeds before and then grinding them, this we're gonna do in reverse. So we have our warm pan, our 2 tablespoons of butter, and our garlic. Now I'm lifting it up, I'm cooling the pan off right now. Our annatto. So now we're just browning the garlic. So now in reverse, I am now toasting the annatto. We're gonna add in our rice.
Whenever you make fried rice, you have to use day-old rice. You can't cook rice and then say I'm gonna make fried rice with it because it's just too wet.
Now I'm gonna season it. So now when you're plating the eggplant, all of that pickle liquid that's in there, we don't want that. And then I like to finish the eggplant with a little bit of olive oil.
All right. So then I'm gonna take my chicken thigh and I'm gonna snuggle that right onto the rice, and chicken leg. Now, so you wanna get a nice big spoonful of the onions and all that kind of stuff, and then we're gonna go onions and stuff like around, and then we wanna go back and get the saucy stuff. And then remember, we're gonna finish with these guys. So there we go. Are you guys ready? You wanna try it?
Yes.
Yes.
I am
Yes,
ready.
please.